Welcome to the Rise Together podcast weekly hot take series. Every week, we're going to bring you powerful stories and strategies from leaders who are making a real impact by building stronger, more resilient communities. Get ready to be inspired, motivated, and equipped with the tools to thrive in both your personal and professional life.
Hi, everybody. This is Beth with the Foundation for Family and Community Healing. We are a small nonprofit that is dedicated to helping individuals and organizations build strength and resilience through skill building education. So it's not about the concepts, it's actually about building those skills. I'm really excited to have my guest today, and I know you guys will enjoy him. This is Chris Ortega, who is coming to us from Indiana, and he is the CEO at Fresh FP&A. How are you doing today, Chris?
I'm doing great. Looking forward to this conversation.
Excellent. So am I, and I know folks will get a lot out of it. So we're excited to hear a little bit more about your story, and I know you're going to have some good insights for our folks. So let's go ahead and get started. You ready?
Let's get it.
All right. So, can you give me your elevator speech about your organization and what it does?
Absolutely. So I lead Fresh FP&A, and we provide fractional CFO and advisory services to small to medium-sized businesses, also known as SMBs. Our version of SMBs are companies that are between $1 and $70 million in annual revenue. And we help those companies that are struggling with their business finances. They're seeking financial clarity, and we give them the confidence to grow their business. So that's what we do at Fresh FP&A. Tell you a little bit about myself. Before starting Fresh FP&A, I've spent 20 years in accounting, finance, FP&A, and financial leadership. Most of my background and career is I would come in as the first finance hire, and I will build, shape, scale, and exit companies. I've had the fortunate opportunity of being part of 3 acquisitions in my career.
Mm.
Most notably was an international marketing platform company that was about $120 million in revenue, 2,700 employees in about 12 to 15 countries. We helped build up the company, and we sold to SAP, which was the largest acquisition I was a part of. I stayed over for a year to help with the post-merger integrations of both the companies. Then I found myself at a fork in the road in my career. There's 2 things that I realized. The
Mm.
first thing that I realized is I know what it takes to transform and scale finance organizations. I've been doing that most of my career. I know the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. But most important, the second thing is I felt like there needed to be a fresh perspective brought to finance. So that's why 4 years ago, I started Fresh FP&A.
I love that. I think this concept of fractionals is so brilliant
Yeah,
in the nonprofit space as well, right?
definitely.
There's so many organizations that just don't have the bandwidth or the finances to have full-time folks, and contracting can be challenging, and that fractional really makes a lot of sense. So I love that.
Absolutely. And that's the one thing that we see. We see it time and time again. You've got a lot of, whether they're non-for-profits or growing SMBs, that here's what I typically see is they have that need, but they're here's the first 3 toll gates they go through. I don't know if I have 40 hours a week for a CFO to be doing a job. That's
Right.
usually the time element. The second thing is like the value. If you want to go find a full-time CFO in the United States, you're looking to spend somewhere between 500 to $1.2 million in salary, bonus, recruiting costs, onboarding. It's an expensive resource to bring on. So that's that second piece is the cost. And the third thing is a lot of times if you're bringing in a CFO, they're going to come in and you're like, I don't know if we have the infrastructure, the business, or the processes that's ready for that level of value. So that's where I think of whether it's a CFO or it's a fractional CMO or it's a fractional chief revenue officer or it's a fractional chief human resource officer. These are all opportunities to bring in the skills, the passion, the talents, and the experiences that you need in those functional areas to help you grow your business. And you're doing it for a fraction of the cost, thus the fractional piece of it. So
Yeah.
to me, I think that's a huge value add for not only not-for-profits, but growing small to medium-sized businesses.
Yeah. Agree. So it's a really interesting time for all businesses right now, and
Yeah,
everything
definitely.
changing.
Yeah.
How would you say the financial field has changed? I mean, you've been in it for quite a long time, so kind of
Yeah,
where you're
It's
coming
changed
to where
pretty
you're
much.
going.
It's changed a lot. I look at it in three different phases of finance, particularly the office of the CFO. Phase number one is, I would say, was pre-pandemic, right? When you looked at the value, you looked at the impact, you look at what the CFO was. We were traditionally the scorekeepers inside the organization. So, for example, if you had a budget, finance was giving you to say, "Hey, our budget was 10, but we actually did 8," right? Our entire value proposition that we brought to the business was keeping score of the numbers, making sure we were compliant, and basically being the budget police. That was that phase one. Then when the pandemic happened, this is a fundamental shift in the value proposition for CFOs, right? When the pandemic happened, I remember being at a software company and our sales, our marketing, all those go-to-market leaders said, "Hey, there's too much uncertainty, there's too much challenge. We don't know how to navigate this." And those CFOs that stepped up and helped navigate their organizations, their teams, and their people through this continued adversity and challenge, that set the new baseline of what the business expects for the CFO. So that was that fundamental change. Now we go into this phase three post pandemic with that new baseline. It's already table stake for business owners, CEOs, and founders to say, "I already know finance can get me the numbers. How are you helping me grow my business? How are you bringing value to the overall organization? How are you help us to give us that financial clarity that we need to continue to grow for the future?" That's that new value proposition that has changed.
Mm.
So, and then also another fundamental area that has changed through that time has been the technology that's been offered to the CFO. You've got ChatGPT, you've got Gemini, you've got Perplexity, you've got generative AI. You've got all these tools that are poised for the office of the CFO to leverage and increase our ability. So for me, that's how I look at the three different phases of it. And particularly for SMBs, right? Throughout that phase, you're continuing to trying to grow, you're trying to develop, maybe you're trying to go into new markets, maybe you're trying to get access to growth capital either through fundraising or through other avenues. Maybe you're looking for that financial clarity to say we want to acquire other businesses. This is where I think it's vitally important to bring on that CFO to help you grow your organization. And you couple with the people side of it, you couple it with the increase of technology, and you add in the different value proposition that CFOs are able to bring. It's a great time to be in finance.
I love that. Some optimism. So where do you see it going in the next 5 to 10 years? So if we're in phase three now,
Yeah.
where's phase four, phase 3.5?
Yeah, I think phase four is definitely so hitting the technology piece. When you think about the office of the CFO and particularly finance professionals on the spectrum of technology adoption, over here, when you look at technology adoption, that's like the laggers. These are the people that are like, "Nope, I got to make sure we're the laggers of technology." And that's typically where finance is, right?
Yeah.
We're very risk averse. We like our consistency. We don't really like change. Technology isn't going to take my job, right? We're typically in this phase. Over at this other area of technology adoption, those are the early adopters. These are going to be your sales and marketing people. These are the people that sign up for a technology that just released last week and they're like, "We need this," right? So I think one fundamental shift in that next phase of it is we have to move up further in that spectrum of technology adoption. One thing that I've known in leading Fresh FP&A and also leading high growth finance organizations is when it comes to growth, finance is usually not one of those areas that we get unlimited headcount, right? Think about it. When your business's revenue is growing, you're probably hiring more salespeople, you're probably hiring more marketing people, you're making more investment on the top of your sales and marketing because that's driving revenue. There's very rarely in finance I've ever had a CEO, owner, and founder say, "Chris, we're growing. You get unlimited headcount for what you need to do," right?
Yeah.
Where typically you have to do more with less people. And one thing that I found in leading high growth finance teams and also supporting clients at Fresh FP&A, the only way we scale is we have to leverage technology. So looking forward to that fourth phase, I think finance moving away from laggers to be, I wouldn't say early adopters of technology, but in that in between where we're open to technology, we're leveraging it, and we're using it to move us out of the manual, low value, routine work that doesn't really provide value and moving us to that higher value activities that is producing that business value. That's one key area that I see changing in that phase 4. The other key area that I see changing in that next phase as we look for CFOs and finance organizations is really being about value focus in the organization. I do so much thought leadership globally in the CFO space, and you'd be surprised how many CFOs don't know their business, right? Like, I was on a panel last year with about 50 CFOs, and I asked them, could you describe to me your ideal client profile and describe to me the value that you bring to your customers? And of that room of 50, there was about 5 of them that could articulate, here's what our business does, here's the value that we bring, and here's, the services and solutions that we provide to clients. Most of the time they're just like, no, Chris, we keep charge of the budgets, the forecasts, and the numbers.
Yeah.
In that next phase, we need to know the business. We need
Yeah.
to know the value that we're bringing. So I think, to me, as we move to that next phase, those are two critical areas: moving up in technology adoption and leveraging technology, and increasing our value proposition, not only in finance, but across the entire business. Those are two key areas that I see in phase 4.
That's great. Thanks, Chris. So let's talk a little bit more about your organization. How many folks
Yeah.
do you have on staff?
Yeah, so currently we're a global organization. We currently have about 40 people across the globe. Most of that is going to be client-facing people. Those are going to be like our fractional CFOs and our pods that we have. There's also like the business support side of the business, sales, marketing,
Mhm.
IT, development. But across the board, we have about 40 people globally.
Okay. And global always makes it a little more challenging, right? When
Definitely.
you have different time zones and different languages
Yeah,
and different cultures and business practices.
right.
So how do you work with that and how do you kind of embrace that as an organization?
Yeah, so most of my professional career, I've always worked at global organizations. So most of my background, I've worked in, multinational US, Europe, Asia organizations. So for me, it's not a change for me. I think in terms of the value of the market, that's one thing I've seen be a little bit significantly different. So I'll give an example. When you think about the value of a fractional CFO, looking at it from like the West, which I call the Americas, that's going to be North America, South America, and in the middle is going to be EMEA, which is our EMEA operations, which is Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And then further east is what I consider Asia Pacific or APAC, right? The further east that you go in the value of the fractional CFO, the more tactical it becomes. So, for example, in the US, the role that we provide and the value that we bring is definitely more on the strategic side of value, right? This is helping lead your finance organization. This is helping you get access to capital. This is helping you with fundraising. This is looking at merger and acquisition opportunities. This is really leading your entire finance organization from the strategic perspective. When I look at our APAC operations, most of that is going to be the tactical side. So, how are you able to handle their tactical organization? That's one unique thing about that I've seen in the clients that we serve. The further east you go, the more the shift between strategic and tactical value is executed in the role. I think the other thing that I've really found is, like, my Tuesdays and Thursdays are very long days. I wake up early, I go to bed late to catch up with my European team, and then I'm staying late up night to catch up with my APAC team who's based in Sydney, Australia. So for me, it makes for longer days and longer nights, 2 days a week. But I think for me, it's like that value is there in all those different locations and regions. And we've been able to take a proven framework of experience and very competent CFOs and positive resources that help support them in those different areas of the world. So, and again, I think most of it is because I've had an international business background. I went to school and got my MBA in corporate finance, international business. So the international concept has always been something I've been familiar to. And for me, I've just always adjusted my time. I know for Europe, I got to wake up early, and I know to catch APAC, I got to stay up late. So it's just
Yes.
it's all about balance.
Yeah. Well, speaking of balance, great segue. How is your organization addressing health and wellness for your employees?
This is super important. I think I always tell our clients and I tell our team, right? We're CFOs, right? We're not heart surgeons. Nobody's gonna, go to the emergency room because we didn't have a forecast updated. So I think that's number one. Number two, I am constantly with my team. It's all about making sure that they have the right balance and support that they need, whether that's technology or it's time off, whatever is needed for their mental and physical health. We always invest into quarterly. I'm always giving my team opportunities if there's events that they want to go through or balance. Take the time off that you need. It's important. The third thing that we've kind of implemented and just been this came up from a global call that we had is every Friday I give my team what's called building time. And basically from their calendar from 12 o'clock to the end of their day on Friday, I say, look, go take time to go build something. Like whether that's building your something at your house or building something fitness or take that time throughout the week on a Friday, focus on building in the area that you want to build, whether that's business or personal, right? And that's time that I want you to dedicate to focus on building. And that's been really important because there's been such great things that have come from that time, that building time, right? There's been great things for the business. There's been opportunities for people to go spend more time with their family or pick up a pastime or hobby. So I think having that balance is so important. The other thing that we're working on implementing is wellness stipends for people, right? I'm an avid. If I didn't go to the gym, I would be literally a crazy person. If I did not have time to decompress and spend my hour and a half, 2 hours at the gym every day, I would be crazy. So taking that time for people to have a stipend to invest in a gym membership or other avenues that they want to have, that to me is equally important because you have to be yourself and to be the best for your clients. You have to have that time where you're investing that time, energy, and effort to be the best for yourself. So I think this is hugely important. I believe in leading by example. So when I take time off or if there's things I got going on, I make sure to let the team know. And I think that also entails with the fractional concept because we're not like full time 8 hours a day. We have more flexibility in our schedule to set our meetings, our calendars, our expectations, and we make sure that the client understands that as well too. So
Yeah,
that's how we focus on mental, and it's not just physical health. This is mental health, emotional well-being, spiritual health. I think health is not only in the work, the time and working, but it's all those different areas around physical, mental, emotional, spiritual health that we make those investments in our people on.
yeah, that's great to hear. And here, absolutely. So that was great, Chris. How can folks, if they're interested in learning more about you or the work you're doing, how can they get in contact with you?
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn. If you just type in Fresh CFO, you'll be able to find me there, or just Chris Ortega. If you want to learn more about Fresh FP&A and how we can help you grow with financial clarity and confidence, visit our website, www.freshfpa.com. You can also visit and schedule a free consultation at our website. Make sure to follow us on all of our socials. It's just Fresh FPA, Fresh Frank Paul Anthony on all of our socials. And I'm very active on LinkedIn. I love connecting with people. So if there's ways that we can help, if you found value from this, feel free to connect with me. Send me a message. And yes, I do answer my messages. It's not some AI bot. It's not some random person looking through my messages. I try to be intentional about reaching out. So those are different avenues. Visit our website, connect with me, follow me on LinkedIn, and make sure to follow all of our socials.
All right, sounds great. Well, thank you so much. This was a great conversation, and thanks to our listeners, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for joining us today on our Rise Together podcast weekly hot take series. We hope you've been inspired by today's stories and strategies for building stronger, more resilient communities. Remember, resilience isn't just about bouncing back. It's about growing through every challenge to become bigger and better. If you've enjoyed this episode, please make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with somebody who could benefit from these insights. Stay connected, stay resilient, and we'll see you next time.